High Seas release is on the horizon, and a lot of people have been playing in their local pre-releases. I have one more that I get to play tomorrow. Yes, I am going to dress up like a pirate, and it's going to be incredible. But all that being said, one sentiment has been echoing in the Discord groups, on YouTube, on social media, and in person. Everyone that I've talked to has pretty much unanimously said that this sealed and limited format in general is the best one they've ever experienced. And it all comes down to one, maybe two, if you want to count it, one to maybe two cards. And here are those cards. They are, and I quote, Treasure Island, and that's the big one for me, and then of course, Gold. I think these two cards have completely changed the way that this limited feels, that this set feels, and have in a lot of ways set a high watermark for how limited feels and how Flesh and Blood feels to play. There's a lot of people out there that, like they encounter a certain matchup or they play a certain game versus like a wizard or an illusionist, and they say, that's not Flesh and Blood to them. And I understand, I don't agree, but I understand what they're getting at. They fell in love with the push and pull, the blocking, the attacking, the making trades with hands that Flesh and Blood encapsulates. And that really falls to, like physical damage, physical attacks being played, weapon attacks being played, blocking with your equipment, choosing the right time to use a defense reaction, those types of effects. Well, here's the cool thing. A card like Treasure Island forces a game state where all players have to consider interacting. Okay, so no more do you have this just, I am going to take everything that you give me, I will take all the damage, send me the bill, and then I will do the same back to you. The uninteractive gameplay of yesteryear can't engage with something like Treasure Island, where value is accrued through dealing damage. Everything is an on-hit, has been said already for the past couple of weeks, when Treasure Island is on the board. And this, to me, is such a triumph of design that is not just design in general, but also the ethos of Flesh and Blood being a game about interacting, about trading, that I think this card has truly set the bar so high that limited going forward is probably going to feel a little, I don't want to say underwhelming, but I will say underwhelming. It's not going to feel the same when everyone is encouraged and almost forced to play this back and forth interactive on hits mean something game because of this singular card. Without that card, we just sort of go back to the capability or the possibility that we're just not gonna block. We're just going to take the damage and send our own big chunk of damage. And I think that this has truly changed how Flesh and Blood is viewed, at least in regards to the players that have played it for a long time. Remember some of the old days of like Flesh and Blood where you were blocking, where you were attacking, where you were making these value plays? Even not so long ago, really just a couple of years ago. And then the meta started to shift and pivot to more just like pure super aggro decks. And Treasure Island is sort of an answer, like a hearkening back to the trading, to the calculating. And the best part about this format thus far, alongside of Treasure Island, is the fact that those calculations, I need to block with one card so I can do this, get so much more gradient filled. They're so much more grainy because now you have a pitch outlet in Gold to see more cards, but it comes with this risk versus reward factor. I can pitch my blue into this. I can pay 2, I can float a resource, I can replace the card I pitched. That could be very good for me, depending on what's in the deck, depending on what my ratios are. Am I going to draw another blue? Is that what I want? Do I need another blue, or do I need a very powerful attack or something to do? Do I need another card, or can I just play out the hand that I've been dealt, essentially? Where does the synergy fall with drawing a card? Does my hero care about drawing cards, or do, like we not even bother with it? Have I been given this gold? Did I create this gold? All of these factors change the math of the game. And it takes us, again, away from like this purely math-focused game. My numbers are better, I'm not going to block you because I'm de-incentivized from blocking you. I'm just going to, send my 4-card, 16 damage because it's more efficient, it's better. That goes away with gold to some degree. And I don't think it should go away all the way. I think that there's still a place for that in Flesh and Blood, just like I still think that there's a place for wizards in Flesh and Blood. I still think that there are places for illusionists in Flesh and Blood. Heck, look, Gravy Bones is in the back. He's kind of an illusionist in a way. Like, I think there's a place for these types of effects in the game, and they create unique experiences. But there's something beautiful about Treasure Island that has come about with the introduction of this card that encourages you to go back and just think about your blocks, think about your attacks, look at your hand in a different way, because if you hit, now you have access to a gold. Now you can pitch a blue, see the top of your deck, and the world is now your oyster. And it's a dangerous thing because at the world premiere, I watched someone pitch into cracking a gold, drawing a card, pitch into cracking a gold, drawing a card a second time, pitch into cracking a gold, drawing a card a third time, look up and say to their opponent, I don't know why I'm doing this. I don't know what I'm looking for, but they got so locked into the gambler's fallacy that they were going to find something good that when it didn't happen twice in a row, they did it a third time, almost out of spite. There's beauty in this type of card, and there's beauty in this type of card. And I think looking at how triumphantly this set has been debuted and accepted by the players of Flesh and Blood, I think there's one thing that has fallen short for me with this set. The singular thing that has fallen short thus far is that Treasure Island is not the Fabled of the set. That this card will not continue in some way, shape, or form into the meta. Like, you can't engage with Treasure Island in Classic Constructed. And I'm sure, yes, there are problems because there are heroes that, you can't technically take advantage of that. Like, literally, Kano is like the hero that I can think of right now in the meta that can't really engage with Treasure Island in the same way. But here's the thing. I would much rather have Treasure Island exist and not have Kano be able to access it than I would Treasure Island not exist. I mean, name me another hero that can't engage with Treasure Island in some way, shape, or form. This card would be so transformative to the meta of Flesh and Blood if it were a Fabled, if it were a landmark, heck, if it were even just like a generic card that anyone could play. Now, of course, there would need to be some way to remove it. There would need to be some workaround. You would have to tweak something about this card. Maybe you could call it Peak of Treasure Island, and you put like the art slightly different on Mountaintop. Or like People Digging, like Dig on Treasure Island, something like that. You could rename it. You would have to tweak it to where someone could remove the Treasure Island from the board as a landmark, as a macro, whatever. Maybe you even just leave it as a macro and no, you couldn't. That would be too powerful. You would need some way to put it into your deck. You would need some way to draw into it. You would need to give it like a cost to play, and then you would need some way to remove it. But the way it functions as of right now, I really, really believe that this card should make its way into a set. Heck, here's what you do, LSS. You put it with its tweaks into an expansion slot. Maybe you make it a pirate-specific class card, landmark. You put it into an expansion slot, and you let people run this as one of their main board 60. I think that this card being in the meta, in the Classic Constructed meta, in the Blitz meta, in really any meta that could play it, I think it deserves it. Because LSS, you hit so hard. This is a home run and a half of a card, and it does everything that the game of Flesh and Blood has lived by for these 5.5, almost 6 years. It's incredible, and it's really transformed the way Limited has functioned, and it's going to change the way that I look at Limited going forward. So if you agree with me, down in the comments below, let me know how you feel about Treasure Island. Am I just hyping it up too much? But I'm a big fan of both Treasure Island and Gold, and it has made this set experience, the Limited experience, so much better than anything I've ever played before in Flesh and Blood. So kudos to LSS for creating this, and James White for putting this together, and for the Balance team and Brian Gottlieb for giving us such a banger of a set. I can't wait to play it more and more. If you like this kind of just random casual talky video, make the number go to the other number, support the channel. As always, everybody, thanks for watching.